Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be going through the month of June and talking about a new topic. The topic I want to talk about this month is going to be being in a band versus being a solo artist. Pros, cons, benefits, not benefits, that kind of thing. So if any of you have been following me for a bit, you might know I'm in a band at the moment known as Bobby Law and the Late Show. But even before that, I've been in two other bands, a band I started called Bed and Breakfast, and a band before that with some buddies from high school called One Too Many. So there are many benefits to being in a band, some of which are obvious. The first one, of course, being that it's just fun to make music with friends. The first band I was ever in high school, One Too Many, that's all it really was. We were just a bunch of friends making music, having a good time. We were writing music, we were performing at a lot of venues in the area. It was fun. The next project I was in, Bed and Breakfast, was more of a personal thing for me. I wanted to start writing more of my own music. I wanted to see if I could run a band. I wanted to get my own gigs and do some cool stuff with some people who did a style of music similar to the kind of music that I enjoyed and wanted to get into in the future. And of course, the current band I'm in, country music. While country music wasn't my thing before I joined the band, it ended up being a lot of fun. The guys in the band are really cool people, and it ended up being a good time, so I stuck around, and I've done some really cool shows with them. Now, of course, the big thing of being in a band is having that sound. It's something that you can only produce with multiple other musicians, but it's the ability to make a full sound, put on a full show, a full concert, full PA, and it's something that a lot of people really latch on to. I mean, you go into a venue, you're going to want to pump out some good rock and roll, And of course, the other cool thing about being in a band, like I mentioned before, is making music with friends, It's way more fun to be on the road, going and traveling to new venues with people, rather than driving by yourself in your little car all alone to go play a little solo gig at a cafe or something. We got a group of 6 guys at this point traveling to venues like at the beach or something, and we get to play venues you might not otherwise be able to if you were by yourself. Now, of course, a lot of the benefits of being in a band come from the kind of show and sound you can put on live. I see it all the time with the bands coming through Phantom Power. I mean, we rarely have solo acts alone inside on the big stage because it's kind of awkward, It's about going and having an experience of live music, which is not something that is easily done as a solo artist. At least a solo artist behind either just a guitar on the keys and just vocals, The other thing about being in a band is, I believe, at least personally, and I think in general, it's made me, and I think it would make you or anybody a better musician. The ability to listen to what's going on around you, adjust what you're playing to fit into the mix of everybody else. It develops your ear. Like, if I get lost in a song, I gotta find the bass and I gotta pick out the root note and then figure out where the song is at that point. You lose the lead vocalist, you gotta listen to the drummer and just make sure you're locked in on beat, It makes you quicker on your feet. I think it gives you better skills to improv live, and in general, I just think it'll make you a cleaner and better performer. Now, we should also talk about solo artists. I personally have never done anything solo. I would like to one day, I think soon, because I think it would be a good experience for me, because I think there are also benefits to being a solo artist musically. But the main benefit of being a solo artist, of course, is going to be profit. Even getting gigs at more places, not necessarily venues, but I'm talking cafes or restaurants or places where you can get tipped, busking out on the street, usually better as a solo artist, because why would a restaurant hire a 6-piece band for $600 when they could hire you for $300? And not only that, you're walking away with $300 versus your cut of maybe $100 if you split the $600 evenly between all 6 members of a band, It ends up being more lucrative. The other good thing about being a solo artist is having complete control over your sound specifically. The nice thing about the band that I'm in right now is that I don't necessarily have a creative control over the band. You know, it's not my project or image. I'm there to realize Bobby's image. And all I really want to do is play my part the best I can and polish what I'm doing to better suit what the leader of the band wants. But if you were in a band like my previous band, Bed and Breakfast, where you are the front man, it's your band, you just doing it by yourself gives you better freedom over what your sound is versus when you got, in my instance, 3 other guys there who all have their own creative inputs and ideas. They can help you to improve your sound, but they can also have their own ideas about the way things should be or the way things should sound that you can't necessarily control, because what are you going to do? Get behind the drum kit and play it better? And I think that's a lot of the appeal to solo artists these days, is that they can make their own sound. I know a lot of musicians local to the Lancaster area that are just solo artists. Some of them don't even perform. All they do is write their own music, and that's a whole other field. See, so the big thing with recording music is that recording is not necessarily a representation of what you can do live. And not that it ever was, but even now in the digital age where everybody's got a laptop, everybody's got a MIDI controller, most drums are programmed, the sound is whatever you program it to be in the DAW. It's not even necessarily a performance anymore. It's about creating a soundscape. It's about creating a song. So the thing with a band recording, in my experience, is that when the band records, everybody wants to go in, record what they play, and then you gotta mix it to be what everybody's vision is as an amalgamation of one thing, which can be really good. But if you're a solo artist and you're somebody who wants control over the song that you wrote, let's say, maybe you're putting the drums into the DAW yourself on a little MIDI controller. You're playing your own bass, you're playing the guitar by yourself, you're laying down the keys by yourself, you're doing your own vocals. Everything is exactly the way that you hear it in your head. Now, of course, again, there's pros and cons to having people have input on your stuff and having people not have input on your stuff. Like, for instance, I do believe in collaboration, and I believe that that makes things better. While I write my own music, I always think having somebody else come in and put their input into the song makes it better. I don't play guitar very well. I can barely cover bass, and I'm a decent enough drum kit player. But if I wrote a song and I wanted to record it as a band, I would hire professional studio musicians who play those instruments to go and record the part to the way they see fit for the song. Because at the end of the day, they also have technical abilities way above what I could do on anything other than the keyboard that might elevate the song to another level. But again, that gets back into, as a solo artist, that would be my music that I'm putting out as myself, just with session musicians covering the parts in the studio. Live, I might even have those same people performing with me. I might not even have those people perform at all because I don't need to hire a band. I could just play some acoustic shows, get some followers, they go listen to my music, they get the full band experience on Spotify, and then they just get to see me acoustically live. And honestly, these days, it's usually enough for people. So then this kind of gets into a whole philosophical topic of what makes music good? What makes music fun? What is the point of performing live? What's the point of being a musician? And I've felt the pros and cons of all sides of the spectrum in the 6 or 7 years I've been a performing artist. In bands, I typically like to just sit back and play my part these days, you know? I don't need to have my own idea of what's going on. If somebody tells me, hey, I think you should do this differently, I'm going to be like, okay, because I'd rather just do the best thing that I could do for that person. When I was in my own band, Bed and Breakfast, I didn't necessarily even want full control of the sound then because I believed that project as a collaboration between the 4 of us that were a part of the band. You know, like, I didn't even write all the music myself. Like, my guitar player wrote some good music. We had drummers putting in their input on how the rhythm part should go. Our bass player pretty much wrote their own lines. Like, I had my idea, and then I was like, just take this and do what you want to do with it to make it sound better. And it worked out for us. And then going back even further to One Too Many, again, group of high school friends, and I think the thing that led to the downfall of that project was a bunch of people in the band all had different ideas of what they wanted it to be. because we started it for fun. We just wanted to start a band. We did. And then things got serious and we didn't really all agree on what that meant for us. So inevitably, things fell apart because everybody had a different idea of what they wanted. And it was for the better, I believe, because now we're all out doing our own things that are more in line with what we want individually. So to go down the kind of the pros list of being in a band, it's more fun to do things with friends, especially travel. You could get into bigger venues and play bigger stages and appeal to a wider audience even, because at the end of the day, a lot of people want to hear the full band experience. Even when I was talking about with solo music, a lot of solo artists still record a full band sound just because that's what people want to hear with the music. And all that stuff is kind of important, I believe. And also I think it makes you a better musician. In general, develops your ear better. It makes you collaborate better with other people and you can listen. And it's just, I think it in-tunes you to what's going on around you on a stage specifically. So then, of course, the pros of being a solo artist are that you make more money, typically. I mean, you're taking home a bigger cut because it's just you, and you could probably negotiate more for yourself. Like I said earlier, $600 split 6 ways is going to be less in your pocket than $200 for yourself, you know? The other thing is you could probably play smaller venues more frequently. Not even venues, but if you get into restaurants and cafes or busking and stuff like that, you can probably play places that a full band just couldn't because it's too loud. Of course, you also have complete control over your sound. Whatever you put on the record is what you want specifically. It's your vision. And then even when you play it out by yourself acoustically, it's just a more controlled experience because it's just you up there creating the sound. So then, of course, if you flip those around, they would become the cons list for each other. So bands, you're not making much money. You're probably not playing as frequently. The other big thing with bands is rehearsals. Like, you got to organize a separate time to get everybody together and practice. Whereas when you're by yourself, you just come play your instrument whenever you feel like it, and you're improving your acoustic sound. Then, of course, the solo thing is you can't play as big as venues by yourself. It's also probably less fun and a little bit more lonely, especially if you're traveling. You're just out by yourself playing random venues and gigs, and it just isn't as fun. And of course, not that I don't think being a solo artist makes you a bad musician by any means, but I think you end up lacking the skill set of listening to the people around you and adjusting your sound to that. You can also have tempo problems sometimes because you're just doing whatever you feel like in the moment. And while some acoustic stuff calls for flexible tempo, it might make you a sloppier player overall because you're not used to playing with somebody who's keeping it in check. So to kind of wrap up the whole topic, I just kind of wanted to discuss some of the things that a lot of musicians are facing these days. A lot of the choices that they have to make before they go out and play live. Like, do you want to get a band together? Because while it may be more fun and you might see a bigger, brighter future as the unit, it becomes harder to make money individually because you got to split that out among people. You got to organize time to practice, so it's going to take more time out of your life to be in a band. And it's also going to be hard to find musicians that even share your vision and want to provide with you the sound that you're looking for. Sometimes it's even hard to find musicians in general. Like, I've had trouble finding drummers in this area because there's just so few. And I know a lot of people have told me in this area it's hard to come by keyboard players because there's like very little of us. But then if you want to be a solo artist, because while you might be getting more frequent gigs at smaller places, you might be making more money. You might even get a more natural following because you can talk to people in a more one-on-one and intimate setting. You don't have a band to back you up. It's going to be hard to play venues unless you're like opening for somebody. It's going to be hard to get out on the road and tour. And while your music might be what you want, it's going to be more difficult for you to find success as a musician in a broader audience, even on a national level, regional even. But that's kind of the dilemma of modern musicians, because a lot of musicians find more immediate financial success through being a solo artist. especially because if you're not looking to go out on tour or you're not looking to really be a famous musician, you're just making music because you're passionate about it, then you have your day job. And every now and then you can go out and play an acoustic gig, and you can just write music on the weekends. You can put it out on Spotify at your leisure. There's a lot of appeal to that. And I also think it's the reason why there's so many new indie small artists that exist. Because anybody has access to Spotify if you've got a laptop and you're willing to pay like DistroKid or CD Baby or somebody to distribute it for you. It's easier than ever to write, mix, produce, and release a song for anybody to listen to. The digital age is really cool for that reason, but I also think it's what's hampering a lot of people from moving on up, because now the market is so saturated with so many niche artists with niche followings that unless you've got the band to back you up and you've got the desire and drive to push for something greater, it's going to be hard to get out of your city. So yeah, that's kind of going to be the end of this video. We did have a few gigs you might have seen as the background footage throughout here. A lot of cool stuff coming in at Fan Power. Be sure to stick around for the next month's vlog, because I'm just going to be talking about how I'm going to be busy as hell as a musician in the month of July, because Bobby Law's got so many gigs for me that I'm going to be... Whew.
Should I get closer? Should I get close?
So yeah, I'm gonna thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, maybe. It'd be nice of you. I would like to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the fall, which would be fun for me. You know, I'm doing these for fun and I enjoy making videos, so I'm just like to see some small return on that if you all would be so kind. But yeah, of course, thank you for watching. I hope this provided some insight onto being in a band versus being a solo artist. I'm hoping to start a solo artist kind of career in the near future, so I will get that perspective more in tune too, and I might revisit this topic with a different perspective and update you guys on how I'm feeling then. But yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe.